Welcome back. So the process is about to finish. It took around 16 minutes to complete this virtualization process. Now you can see here that we have a space required, the size, the second row is the actual size of the hard drive, but we don't need all that size as I've mentioned before. We only need around 19 gigabytes. So the folder has been extracted to this, the file. I mean, the computer has been copied to this folder, extracted folder. As you can see, the file size is 19 gigabytes. And now we don't have to do anything else here. So we're going to go now to the host computer, or the computer that is going to be the one that is going to receive this. We have to copy this file, this virtualized file, to this computer. So here we are where we left off, but the difference now is that if you see to the left, we have copied the virtualize file. Now we are going to go through the process of adding this virtual machine and run this virtual machine on Hyper-V. So I just want to make sure we go to this PC. This is my actual hard drive for this computer, for the host, for the available PC. It's around 120, and the USB next to it is the one I used to copy the virtualized file from the old computer to this one. So now we go to virtual machine, new, and we are going to go through the process. We just click next. Here it's asking us to give a name to our machine. So to make it simple, I'm going to name it to virtualize, but with number 2 instead of TO. And here you can choose to store your virtual machine somewhere else. By default, it's going to install it in Windows Hyper-V, but you can put it somewhere else, and it's advisable to do that if you have more drives. So for example, we are going to leave it by default. Here you can choose generation 1 or generation 2. The difference, as you can read here, is that generation 1 supports 32-bit and 64, and the other, and generation 2 supports a newer virtualization feature and has UEFI, which is the modern version of the BIOS. Here we can choose how much RAM we are going to assign this virtual machine. So I'm going to try, I just wanted to show it to you. This computer, the host, has 8 gigabytes. Okay, so that's what we will be working with. So now we can assign that Windows 10 needs around 1 gigabyte, well, I will 2 gigabyte to run with no problems. But even if you put 2 is going to run. So I put 3.5 gigabytes, or well, it's asking me in megabytes. Here you can decide whether to connect it to the internet or not. In this case, I'm not going to do it, but it's totally up to you. Here it's telling me where it's going to save it, and the size of the hard drive by default is giving me 127 gigabytes and a maximum of 64 terabytes. So I decided here not to give it a fraction. Oh, and I made a mistake. I'm giving it 35,000, so that would be 35 gigabytes of RAM, which I don't have. That's a great mistake I was about to do. So I'm going to give it 3,000 megabytes, which are 3 gigabytes. Now, again, I'm not going to choose to connect to the internet or to the network, so it's going to be isolated. Now here's the name, to virtualize.vhdx, that's what we have chosen. VHD would run with no problems as well. So here, 127 by default, no, I just need 35, since as you can see, my image is around 19 gigabytes. So here it says, use an existing hard drive disk. Yes, because we have it. So we look for the desktop and we choose the file called to virtualize. Now these are like these are all the characteristics that we have chosen. So a general description, and now we click on finish. So it goes through the process, and there you have it. you have the virtualized machine there. So we click on Start. It's going to take a few seconds. As you can see, there is a new file that has been created on the left of the screen under our to virtualize file. So now we go right-click on it on the virtual machine and connect. So here it's asking me for what resolution I want to have when checking this virtual machine. So I'm going to add a few more resolution, but it's up to you. You can keep it really small or do it big. So let's click on connect, and there you go, guys. So IT workshop. I'm going to type the password. It's loading, and there you go. We have the same background. We're going to check every application, the pictures, the folders, and all that. So let's go to well, that's the name. Let's go to this PC. As you can see, it still says 465 gigabytes, but that's a mistake. It's just it has taken like a picture. And again, here we see my hard drive, which is 120 gigabytes for the host machine. But that doesn't make any, I mean, this information is false because it's virtualized now. So I just wanted to notice that. So we go to properties. As you can see, it has 3 gigabytes. This is the i5 7500, which is the characteristics of the host machine, or the machine that is called available PC. And that's the difference I wanted to show you. So now, how do I know this is a virtual machine? We're going to check that in a few seconds. But we open CPU-Z. As you can see, it's running with no problems. We can see that Intel Core i5. We go to motherboard and we say interconfiguration and model virtual machine. So it's telling us it is a virtual machine. Remember when we checked the same when the computer was when it was not virtual yet, it said Dell. So now we go back to CPU and we can see that only one core is running. Okay, so we have the graphics, it doesn't have anything. And there is nothing else we need to see for the moment. And now I'm going to open a CMD, I'm going to open it as an administrator, and I'm going to type the command that we always do, system info. Okay, the machine is called to virtualize, no problems there, Windows, Microsoft Corporation, and here, system model, virtual machine. So it tells you it's a virtual machine. So that's what we have here. And we don't have much to do either. And now we are going to start checking the document. So we have the pictures, you can see it, we have the document, everything is running with no problems. Okay. Now, we also can see the background. Everything is the same as the physical machine. So now we are, as you can see on the right of the Hyper-V Manager software, it's all the options that we have. We have settings, we can turn it off, shut down, save, we can pause it, we can reset it. If I go to settings, I can check the BIOS. As you can see, it's grayed out. Everything that is grayed out, most likely you cannot change while the computer is running. So we go to memory. We can see here the 3 gigabytes. Just one tip, or it's not tip. It's something, the RAM, you can change it on hot. That means I can change it and you don't need to restart the computer. I mean, this virtual machine. So we have the processor. We have assigned by default virtual processors only one. This computer, the host, has this i5 has 4 cores. And now we go to the network. So you can see I can choose to put it to the default switch, which is going to use the same network card as the physical computer, the host computer, which again is called available PC. So now I'm going to shut it down. Okay, it's shutting down and it's off. I close it and I'm going to make some changes. I'm going to go to settings. Now you see when I go to BIOS, The options are not grayed out. Security is still grayed out. We have to do some changes there. And we're going to go to memory, and I mean the number of processors. I'm going to add one more, so we're going to have 2. And in the memory, I'm going to add 500 megabytes of RAM, so 3.5 gigabytes. And now enable dynamic memory. That means that you give the computer, the virtual machine, the chance to have to use the physical RAM as needed. I don't recommend to do that, but it's an option. Now we're going to start the computer again. We started it and we're going to connect to it. Again, the same thing. It's asking me, hey, do you want a smaller or larger resolution? Now I'm going to log in and we're going to see more characteristics of this computer. I'm going to type system info, but here we cannot see much of it. It's almost the same. If you see in the lower part, it says total physical memory 3,500 megabytes. So that's what we have configured a few seconds ago, but you cannot see it really well here. So I go to this PC, right click on it, and properties. So as you can see, I have 3.42 gigabytes. Before, if you remember, a few seconds ago, the first time we started this computer, we had 2.9. So I'm going to open CPU-Z again. And well, we don't have sound. That's because there is no way we can have sound in this virtual machine. Now this is interesting thing. Remember, we have add one more core. So now in CPU-Z we can verify that we have one more core, so we have 2. That means the computer is going to work faster. Again, this is the virtual machine, and that's pretty much it, guys. That's how you virtualize a machine. You copy to the host. I have also shown you how to enable virtual Hyper-V in a Windows 10 Pro. As I mentioned, you need Windows 10 Pro minimum or higher, which is enterprise. You can do this. You can do the same on Windows 8. Okay, I never tried Windows 7. I'm not really sure if you can do it, but Windows 8 and Windows 10 you can do it. You can definitely install Hyper-V on Windows 8 Pro or higher, or Windows 8, the same version. I don't remember if it was Pro or not. And you can run it. And I have also shown you how to configure it, so you have it there. So that would be it for the video, guys. I hope this was interesting for you, and if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. I'll see you in the next one.